a highly anticipated matchup for the first Playday, Elevate and Direwolves. This is a star-studded event if I have ever seen one. Guz, this one finished 7-4 in the very first stage, and it was in the favor of Direwolves. Are we going to see a repeat, or is it Elevate that might be able to shake off the nerves of their first Playday back in stage one?
Gee, I feel like you're asking for a prediction here, Manik, and that's quite an impossible question to answer in this league, particularly when you're talking about number 1 and 2 from the last stage. Obviously, the Divers did a historical feat, really, with the perfect stage. They didn't lose a single match, and Elevate no exclusion from that. But I find it very hard to believe they'll be able to back that up with how competitive this league is. So going into this one, the expectation is it's going to be really tight. Be hard to call, and I think we're going to be in for a banger.
You really bring us back down to reality, don't you?
Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. But we'll go to Blue Panda here, hopefully for a bit of optimism. What are we expecting from Elevate? Again, finishing second in stage 1 and having overall a pretty decent performance throughout the playoffs, unfortunately missing out on the major due to visa issues. Are they going to come in and make stage 2 their own?
I mean, look, I cannot think of a bigger motivator than not being able to go to the major that you qualified. So I think this is going to be not necessarily the redemption arc, but they're hungry. They want that spot that was so rightfully theirs at the end of stage 1. So, I mean, they would be one of my teams to be, top 2 at the end of stage. I would be very surprised if they didn't take up the whole stage.
I think that this is a good opportunity to kickstart with the right momentum, guys. I mean, what more could you ask for than taking on the only team that was above you in stage 1? I think there's a lot to prove here for Elevate as we come into a fresh new stage.
Oh, 100%. And they didn't get their opportunity to prove themselves 1-for-1 against the Direwolves at the major due to those visa issues. So they unfortunately did miss the Charlotte major, which was also a hit to their SI aspirations as well. So the stakes are already high for every single team without playoffs in stage 2, but for Elevate probably more so in trying to retain their prospect of finishing in the top 16 for the 6 Invitational. So I'm really keen to see if they do come out of the gates strong here, because it will be a great indicator against Direwolves. If they do play well today, that should have a good flow-on effect for the rest of the stage and position themselves nicely.
I think, just very quickly before we do move on here, Blue, I think, Mark and Mr. Punch, the addition of these 2 players, profound in stage 1. They really did show up. They really continued to show their prowess. We were kind of, having... jostling a little bit on the desk. It kind of feels like it's a cartoon, Mark and Mr. Punch, but certainly they were not shy of pulling their own punches.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that Elevate takes lightly, signing a new player. If they're picking up someone, if there's someone that they're paying attention to, it's for good reason, and they just proved exactly that when they came in stage 1. So, I mean, look, to expect anything less of them here in stage 2, I mean, you're making a big mistake.
That's a very fair comment. And look, if we're going off the back of that, to expect anything less than yet another flawless stage 4 Direwolves would be absolutely absurd. Guz, is it possible? Are we going to see 7 Harambe dances? Is it going to happen?
I mean, if we do, it would be absolutely insane. Would be, I guess, the longest win streak we've ever seen in APAC history.
Correct.
Perhaps. I don't know if that's 100% true, but I'd be willing to hedge my bets. It probably is. So, obviously, a streak they'll be wanting to continue. The Charlotte Major for the Direwolves was, of course, a little bit disappointing, but it was their first appearance at an international event. So, take that result with a grain of salt, and let's hope that overseas they were able to scrim a whole bunch of different teams from other regions where they typically wouldn't be able to do so from home. They've been able to garner a lot of information, bring it back here for the regular season, and really just do the same old, continue their good form. They were flowing nicely in the first stage, and they could do that here in the second. I don't think it's impossible to write them off, not only for continuing the streak, but obviously finishing in the top 2. Be keen to see what they produce, though, because sometimes we do see hangovers from international events. So let's hope that's not the case here for them.
Well, maybe there's a cure, guys. Maybe there's a cure. It's called H2O and a bit of Panadol. That is certainly an Australian reference if I've ever heard one. But let's have a look at these vetoes. Blue Panda. We will allow these to unfold. No Clubhouse. I find that interesting. And Bank being banned out to begin with. think we saw a fair bit of that from the Direwolves back in Stage 1. We do head to KAFE after a Skyscraper and a border ban, interestingly enough. 2 of the new maps left into the last 3. What are we thinking?
I mean, we go to KAFE. It's one of the main comp maps, but it's still one of those ones that finds itself on the fringes with most competitive regions. It gets a lot of play, but I mean, this is a map that allows for a lot of aggression. You got to be playing that top-down clear game on the attack almost flawlessly, because as soon as you let a roamer outside of your, your area of vision, if they can find that flank onto you, you can find yourself cut down at the knees quite well. But on the same side for defense, if you find yourself isolated, you find yourself stuck, that's a key piece of utility off the board that might be needed later on.
Guz, what are we thinking? Are we leaning any which particular way?
Well, I think the most interesting stat to highlight here on KAFE is that historically for Elevate, it's actually been quite strong for them, and that's highlighted by the fact that it's their most banned map against. So 24 bans against them, that means that other teams don't want to be taking them to this map. Direwolves, though, they're bucking that trend. They're taking on that challenge. It's a map that's also pretty heavily banned against them as well, and has seen some mixed success. So purely on paper and purely on historical results, I'm starting to lean a little bit into Elevate for this matchup, but it's been a while since we've seen these teams go head-to-head on this map. In fact, I don't know if we ever have. We had Oregon and Villa most recently, and they're going to play out quite differently to KAFE. So I think Elevate probably just edging out in the veto, assuming that historical success does stand up. But with the new operators in play, KAFE might actually see a little bit of innovation, so that could throw that curveball in there.
Well, I'll tell you what. Second match of Stage 2, and we're seeing 2 of the APAC representatives for the last major. You would not read about it. 2 Titans go head-to-head, and Mandy and Dev will run you through the action.
Look, 2 of the representatives that qualified for the last major, but not 2 that actually managed to make it. Elevate was unable to attend, and now they got to redeem themselves. Mandy, this is 1 versus 2 from Stage 1. This is arguably the biggest game of the stage.
Yeah, I gotta say, there's really high expectations for both of these. I think when I was writing in our notes what the expectations were, I was like, top 2. Oh, also top 2. Oh gosh, this is gonna be such a tight game here on Bank. It's so exciting.
Yeah, if everything went as expected, these would be the 2 teams that would go to the major from APAC South. Not Chiefs, not Knights, not Invictus, not any of these other teams that have been hyped up. But of course, they can't slow down. Stage 1, we had Direwolves win out of the 2 teams. Of course, Direwolves were flawless. They won every game in regulation. And after Elevate did have a slow start, they lost their first game to the now Gladiators roster. They just got better and better and better and better until they won the APAC playoffs. So, I mean, you could argue that Elevate is currently the #1 team in APAC despite not making it to the Charlotte Major. These 2 teams now will have the chance to vie for that title in a regular season match with the fate of their major prospects on the line.
Yeah, I've really backed in Elevate here. I feel like the way that they've developed over this year, over the last few months, is really setting themselves up for long-term success. They seem like a team that has the structure, the strategy, and the leadership and the support to be able to make it into this major position.
We'll start in the operator veto. KAFE is the map, which means I would expect Thatcher to go. Flores the first one taken out, though.
I feel like that makes sense on a map like KAFE. Shields are very important, power positions are very important. The start is typically quite slow when you don't have Flores as well, because you have to spend all that time playing the micro game, burning out that utility. On top of that, just to further that point, even a set of nades gone on the side of the attack too. That does mean that Thatcher does make it through this veto phase, so maybe opening walls, maybe going for a bakery take is a little more viable, for example, in the basement. But still, those power positions, they're going to be very tricky to clear.
Yeah, so Mirror is at least banned out, which means, of course, there are far fewer power positions that the defenders can hold. But, yeah, I mean, that Thinker ban to a lot of people might be like, oh, wow, I don't see any people ban Thinker despite her being so highly picked. It's a common one for Elevate. It's actually their most banned operator by a significant margin. 56% of the time of their last 90-odd games, they have been banning Thinker out. Wamai taken out on the final ban from Direwolves, countering a little bit of the projectile denial, which means that this is going to be a game of nades, a game of flashes, And in my opinion, probably a game of Azami, or at least I would like to hope so. I think Azami could certainly hold some weight here on KAFE. It remains to be seen.
Absolutely. I think KAFE is one of those maps that we've seen so many times over and over again that there isn't that much innovation anymore. But having maps, us having characters like Sens and like Azami come in, the architecture type characters will really shape up how both of these, how this map plays. Every bomb site I feel like can benefit from some restructure and adding some of those keyword barriers as well. So unfortunately Direwolves, they're not going to lean into the Azami for this particular round, but we will go to that top 4 and we will see this big open freezer hold that really plays into the kind of attacker bans that we have here where shields are very difficult to clear, and so I can see that there's going to be a very strong hold here inside of Backstore and inside of Pixel.
10 seconds remaining.
He's going to test Elevate on the attack now.
Seconds to insertion.
I was talking to Onigiri before the match started. I said, how many kills are you going to get with Aruni DMR this game? And he said, well, it depends. They might ban it against me. Well, they didn't, Onigiri. They did not. So when you flip onto that defensive side, that DMR, his fiendishly iconic weapon, is going to be available. But Direwolves here, they're looking to start strong on their defense, which is really what we would expect. Just like Theme Park, another defense-favored map here.
Already we've got a little bit of action here inside of the piano room. Harambe actually making the first contact, playing around the stage, trying to maneuver his way around the Christmas tree and around the stage, the sort of barrier, before eventually falling back into Pixels. So that's another small thing that Elevate had to counter, they had to worry about. You just don't want to be peaked by these Direwolves, players. They're just so relentless and they'll take every fight.
And they're very good at those aim duels as well. Every player in this server is a fragger. No one is exempt. Everyone is capable of pulling off a nutty shot, a clutch, a multi-kill. So it comes down to these teams operating like a cohesive unit. That is the strength of these teams. Ooh, a missed explosive there. It's the floor. I'm pretty sure it wasn't aiming for anything on the floor. Maybe there was a Banshee there. Onigiri still needs to take out that deployable shield. And of course, this very strong position inside of washrooms.
Slow start here on KAFE as we come to expect the attackers slowly make their way through the building. But here's something exciting. DCH making his way with the Twitch CMR through the ground floor. And Pecan seems to have no idea that he's there. Uh-oh, I think this might be the first point of contact.
Here we go. 417 Twitch. DCH, though, worried about the evil eye above him. Pika has no idea, though. DCH, turn around! Pika gets the better of him. How unfortunate. That's not something you see every day. Direwolves now have a 2-man advantage. Very could have easily been Elevate in this position, but the round has been turned on its head. And now Elevate in a 2 versus 4 will lay their hopes on Sapper and Mark.
Seems pretty dire here for Elevate, but there we go. Mark able to find one. That's that invitation into the bomb site, and there we go. Sapper RSVPs trying to find the pick onto Cocktail 3, but he's not able to find it. Picard eventually able to find that trade, and now 1 versus 3. It's impossible for Sapper. Souffle, he will close the round out for the Direwolves.
Oh, not a bad one for Direwolves to start off KAFE. Perhaps an expected result defending the top 4 there, but Elevate certainly had an in, and a couple of different things went the other way. That would have easily been an Elevate round, so Direwolves need to make sure not to be complacent here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Elevate, they're known for being relentless. They know for taking every odd fight, trying to get as much map control as they possibly can. And we even saw it there. DCH, he wanted to make value out of that lurk work. And Sky, I know you're observing this. You're in for an absolute ride. Strap yourself into trying to find all these gunfights, all these 1v1s happening across the map, because this is going to be a very exciting match.
Yeah, Skizzle on the ob sticks once again. Love to see it. It's been a while, but you know, as soon as I see the observing just at this caliber, I know it's Sky. I know it's got to be. He's actually made Diamond last season, so that basically qualifies him to. Pretty sure you did Sky, right? That qualifies him to like cast SI, right? Like that's how you That's how you get your casting jobs. That's how you get your observing jobs.
Well, unfortunately, no ranked experience is going to help out here when you're observing matches like Elevate and Direwolves. You just do not know what is going to happen until you see it with your own 2 eyes. The Direwolves will now take us down to the kitchen bomb site with a very extended roam. 4 players off of the bomb site. And here we go. Souffle looking for a cheeky spawn peek. Will take Onigiri down to half HP, but the kills do not connect.
It's pretty ambitious. You've got to respect that. And hey, you're saying ranked experience doesn't count for much, mate. Do you know who you're casting right now?
No, I mean as an observer. What is your ranked experience going to amount to here?
Look, if you have seen the Elevate death stacks going around, you would know that these guys are the kings of Southeast Asian ranks. And look, I'm not often like saying, oh, it's just like ranked is used kind of as like a diminutive, like, you know, term saying, oh, it's not very good. But nah, that's the opposite for Elevate. They are the kings of ranked, and that's why they're so good at playing comp.
They're just going to absolutely take every fight that they can, peek everything. Here we go. Elevate now actually opting to do a bakery push, trying to get that side bakery wall open to clear out the position of Jackie Wu. But instead, Direwolves, the Elevate players, they'll just enter straight into the building. Onigiri finding an in onto bakery once that wall had been reinforced up. No more rotates. He knows that bakery is clear. So Elevate, they haven't gone for a roam clear. They haven't gone for what Direwolves have set up. And oh, wow. And that's a big value out of that Twitch drone. Oh, my goodness. Is that both yokais? That is the most value shock drone I think I've ever seen.
I'm not sure if he got both of them. He definitely got the one.
I think he got both of them.
I think he got both. That is huge. But it's not everything, right? Because there's still 10 players in the server, which has now been reduced to 9. Onigiri, yet again, the first player to go down. Pika taken low for the exchange, but a kill is a kill is a kill. Now Elevate. Oh, once again, dropping like flies. Pika's managed to find a second on the back of it. Elevate have the pressure now.
Oh no, and Mark trying to take his fight onto the vertical is able to, finds that as a loss as well. And Mr. Punch though, he does claw 1 back for Elevate, so 2 versus 4. It's not completely over yet. There is a rotation into the bomb site, and there is control of the hallway here for Elevate. This is possible, this is winnable.
Yeah, this setup does mean it's possible for Elevate to get inside, but of course, it's also easier for Direwolves to retake. Sapper's going to walk straight into the vertical line. The ED is avidly watching. Mr. Punch looking to hunt that roamer down, but ED is very much aware of it. He does go down though. Mr. Punch stepping up hugely with the L85. Sapper pushes in too early, however, and loses his life. 1 versus 3 now for Mr. Punch. It's going to take more than a fist to win this one. Souffle on the long angle gets the better of him. Direwolves manage back-to-back rounds to open up KAFE.
I didn't mind that from Elevate. I feel like even though we were down players, even though we were in a dire position, they knew what to do there. They knew the win condition of that round, and as soon as Sapper tried to enter into the breach and realized, okay, there's a guy in the vertical, that's a possible kill, that's someone that we should chase down, we immediately saw Mr. Punch try and rotate up, try and get that kill and claw back the round for Elevate. So although they have lost that round, losing out those opening picks, being a little too antsy on that entry, there is a lot of cohesion here on this team, and that's something that we've really come to find about Elevate as they've grown in the past few months as a team with their new roster. I think this game, slow momentum, they just need to get into a rhythm, try and win out some of these rounds, and maybe Onigiri, maybe not opening death this time.
Yeah, it's been a rough start for the Elevate star player. Onigiri's funny like that though, you know, sometimes he pops off, he currently holds and did at this last SI break the kill record for a single map at SI. I think it was 25, right? 25,
27.
26. 27! I never give him enough credit, do I?
No.
And yet, sometimes you'll see him just like really peter out. And something that Direwolves have certainly clued into is the way that Elevate likes to play on these attacks. They like to get aggressive, and Direwolves meet that with aggression of their own. Pika already topping the scoreboard this game. 4 kills, and hasn't yet died.
Exciting prospect for Direwolves. I mean, they've just come off a major experience They must have got a lot of valuable lessons learned there as well, and I really hope that they can translate it into this ever so important group stage and find some of these wins. And if they can take one over Elevate, that would be an incredible start to the stage for them as well. Elevate now, they've opted to pick the Ying actually for this particular bomb site, trying to make their execute a little more explosive, a little more accessible with that entry. But of course, like every KAFE attack starts, on the roof, looking down from the skylight.
That tends to be the story of KAFE, doesn't it? Now, what special sauce does Elevate have in store? What will this Ying surmount to? It looks like you got 3 players on the skylight. Like, this is going to be a skylight drop, right? Like, yeah, that's not the site. This has got to be a skylight drop.
They are all on drones, queued up, ready. They go, guys, there's a player in cocktail. Guys, there's a player in backstore. When we drop, we're going to go for these kills. We're going to make this explosive to try and get top floor control as efficiently as possible. Jackie Wu, he seems to have some idea of what's going on, peeking his head through that skylight double. There we go, the drop from Red, the first in the building, and here comes the execute.
An execute to clear the roam game. Look at that utility. Move on forth. Jackie Wu forced on back, but Pika was not spotted in bar. He does eventually get traded, but is it enough? Direwolves string together kills now. They've found 3. The Elevate have the side, but Sapper is traded back. Onigiri can find a kill. He's got to find 2 more. There's plenty of time left for him to do it. He doesn't have a lot of HP to get the job done.
Elevate tried to spring into action there. They actually tried to circumvent that top floor by dropping straight off the balcony and going for the site, just trying to blind those top floor players, making sure they don't know. But this 1 versus 2 is very tough for Onigiri, with only a slither of HP left, blinking red. And wow, what a shot with the SMG-11 from Edie to close out the round for Direwolves.
It's certainly been a little bit more difficult than Elevate perhaps expected. That key ingredient that they missed out on was Pika playing in bar. And I've got to say, Direwolves, they are really feeling it, aren't they? Like you said, ED, pretty ambitious for him to take an angle, a fight like that, all the way through one bomb site, through another, and into pillars, with the SMG-11, no less. And I think that is just a sign of the confidence that Direwolves have. There's none of this, no, don't peek, it's a 2v1, we have advantage. No, go for it, mate. Kill him. You're just better.
Well, you say ambition and confidence, but that was a very interesting push from Elevate. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have expected it. We thought, oh, okay, they're chucking in all their Yin Candelas. They're going to make this entry really explosive, try and clear out these roamers. But no, they just tried to blind them so that they wouldn't know that they're falling off the balcony and rushing into the side instead. That is such an Elevate thing to do. I don't know how else to describe it, Zev, but the innovation that we see from these teams, the way that they play, we just cannot expect it. We never know what's going to come next, and that's what's so exciting about this series.
And with a strategy like that, you know, there is a very fine line between bravery and madness. And sometimes Elevate live on one side of that line, and sometimes they live on the other. Direwolves can certainly read into the playstyle that they know and love and embrace themselves. It starts with Pika once again. He has been non-stop this game.
Uh-oh, but I think that's a player outside now aware of his presence. Sapper, he does make it safely onto this east balcony, getting away with his life. No jump out there from Pika, but he does know that he's there now. Uh-oh, are we going to go for the tango once again? Just try and fire a few pot shots into this barricade, but does not connect onto Sapper, being very patient, just trying to look for the jump. Meanwhile, DCH crawling his way into the building as well.
Bit of a lurk from DCH. He's managed to cover a lot of ground. Keeping in mind, this is bar. There are roamers down below, which DCH does hunt now. The hell presence reduction means it's much harder for him to be heard or seen. Is there a bulletproof Cameroon Evil Eye above him that perhaps would have seen him? I'm not sure. Regardless, this roamer down below seems very, very much wary of his position.
Simultaneously, though, there is a utility dump happening on the top floor. Sapper now trying to make this pinch work in tandem with DCH, while the rest of the Elevate players try to make their way into Cigar.
Oh, hello.
Try to get to... Oh, that's an unknowing... Oh, no! He's got the wrong gun for that! take away the skeleton key.
Oh my
pull
God,
it back out again.
Sapper!
That's okay. Pecan runs straight into him anyway. Shotgun perfect for that situation. And Sapper, he makes it work out for him. This very strange lurk here on the ground floor. Elevate, they find some value out of that one.
I want the director's cut commentary, Sapper, on what just happened there, because that was a little bit of silly business. Does end up finding the first kill, and Jackie taken very, very low now. Elevate, their best chance of finding a round win here on KAFE is set before them. A minute to go. Control down below. And Onigiri starting to push on in. Harambe down. Onigiri is making his way on fourth. Direwolves, surely it is just a matter of time. Elevate have the information, and there's two players pushing up the white stairs. Of course, Sapper's got the skeleton key out once again. He seems oh too eager to get something done with that. Onigiri takes out ED. Jackie Wu, 1 HP, traded back by DCH. And Souffle left all on his lonesome to stack up against 4 Elevate players. As that diffuser starts to be planted, he's got a little bit of denial potential. Could he whittle out the time? Do they know where he is? Finds the first pick. If this is a clutch, it would be one of the best I have ever seen. But that diffuser goes down. Elevate, don't do this to me! DCH, thank God you landed that one, because Elevate, you know how to make me nervous.
Oh goodness, the things that we're going to see from this team. Dev, I think by the end of this map, we will have both aged at least a decade. Watching these teams try and battle it out through the execute. Every round so far has been terrifying. Trying to claw their way into the bomb site. They're a man down. It doesn't matter anyway. I'm going to take those 1 versus 1s. I'm going to claw my way back into this round again. Elevate, that was a bit dicey at the end there, but they had the avenues that they needed. That roam clear meant that white stairs control was something that Direwolves, they had to turn their attention to. They had to have 1 or 2 guns turned away, and that let the rest of Elevate push through Cigar, able to get that plant down into trash. They just had so many options to try and make that execute work, and it did for them. And Direwolves, they had to win their ones if they wanted to come back from that one, and unfortunately, they just couldn't.
It was funny because at the end there was a very real possibility that Souffle could have won the 1v4.
Exactly.
But he just didn't have enough bullets in the older. He used all 81, and of course you ain't getting off a reload in a 1v3 when you're in a position like that. Had he managed to do so, I would have probably backed him in to win it.
Yeah, and can you imagine, like, perhaps maybe if that bar, which has 2 walls that connects either side, was just open a little bit more or something like that, so that the C1 player where Souffle was playing in could see him. Oh gosh, that would have been very, very scary territory for Elevate. But anyway, we return back to the kitchen bomb sites, which Direwolves looked very comfortable on. I suppose just trying to play out this roam game that Elevate didn't end up clearing. They just went for a direct attack into Bakery. Elevate though, now they've changed their approach. Onigiri is on the Imaru. I wonder what kind of shenanigans this is going to bring.
A quick entry to take top 4 perhaps. Nice throw, mate. I've seen Elevate throw like that before.
Oh no, you didn't do them like that. You didn't do them like that. That was mean.
I mean, I love Elevate, but everyone knows it's true. Everyone does. Come on, Onigiri, get up there. I want to see the Gyro Hook fly through that window. He's actually droning up a little bit for himself first. He's spotted out that a hatch is reinforced. And there you go, the Gyro Hook, quick top floor control without even opening up the hatches. The advantage of that is Direwolves won't be necessarily aware that there's a player in the top floor. They won't be as suspicious. Elevate might find a pick because of it.
Ooh, and sneaky with the suppressor as well on Onigiri, quietly making his way through the building as the Umaru now has full top floor control. His teammates we saw from the outlines from the top down just then, they cleared out all of Cocktail, Backstraw, and now they're starting to drone this this middle floor site where Onigiri now resides. Vertical control as well. So this middle floor control, a minute 30 into the round, this is not bad for Elevate. I feel like this is really great progress. But if they want to go for that freeze execute, they will have to open up that hatch, and that's currently Kaided.
And I like what they're doing now. That's both C4s are gone, and Mark using some X-Kairos on either side of the hatch,
perfect.
and it perfectly
Beautiful.
destroys the Electroclaw. That was really cheeky. That said, was there enough time there?
Oh, wow. just enough time. That electrical hadn't quite activated before that hatch had been opened. And here we go, DCH now actually shaping up to try and clear out this player here in Whiskey. But Harambe, a spray through the smoke, will take down DCH. Only 50 seconds left to go. The execute has to come out, but Harambe is good for 2.
Harambe, can anything stop this man? Mr. Punch, the self-nade is the nail in the coffin. Sapper now left with far too much to do. Elevate had such a strong start to this round. How embarrassing that it slipped through their fingers like so. 25 seconds, and at this point it's just consolation frags. A beautiful crossfire is held now by the Direwolves players, and Jackie Wu not over-peaking like Harambe did. Souffle to lock it in, and Direwolves 4 defenses now on KAFE, looking very comfortable.
Wow, the Direwolves, they're looking strong. They don't look like they're making any blatant mistakes. They're patient. They're sitting, waiting for Elevate to do the type of Elevate thing that you'd expect them to. Try and get the jump on them. Try and look for an early pick. Waiting it out so that they're not getting picked up by Onigiri, making way very efficiently through the building, right? But by then, Direwolves, they'd caught on. Okay, we've wasted time. Let's just fall off and relax and wait for something to happen. So Elevate, although they made that roam clear so efficient, they couldn't convert that into a round win. And I think the Direwolves, they've just been playing out of their minds so far.
I mean, there was an expectation set by Direwolves in stage 1 that they're gonna be bloody good during the group stage, right? 7-0-0-0. Never even letting a game slip to overtime. That's the Direwolves that we know and love. And that was a big step up from last year for Direwolves. They were an all-right team last year, but they were not at that level. They'd never made it to a major before. They maybe made APAC playoffs a couple times, but never coming in first place in APAC South. Well, they changed that in stage 1, and they're looking to continue that form into stage 2. You think about it, right, Mandy? The 3 top teams from stage 1, Direwolves, Elevate, and Chiefs. Now, Chiefs have already copped their first L of the season. If Direwolves win here, that is them getting a win and their 2 closest rivals getting a loss in the opening Playday.
Wow, I mean, this first Playday, in true APAC South fashion, has already brought us so much action. And there we go. Only 20 seconds left of the round, and Sapper has just found the opening kill of this round for Elevate. So, yeah, this first Playday has already so many implications. With the playoffs gone and there's major spots on the line, like, wow, this is such a crucial game, and Direwolves, they're bringing it their all to try and get this win. Elevate now with the man up will start to make their way into the building, get on some of those repels, and try and clear out that power position that they're playing inside of Bathroom and inside of Pixel.
Very, very significant roam here for Direwolves on this reading defense. Despite losing that early engagement, I just realized Souffle's got 8 kills. He's overtaken Pika. There was a time where Pika was far and away the top fragger in the server, and he's now being outshone. Onigiri, though, get him on the DMR.
Get him on the DMR.
That's what you got to do. What is the secret to Elevate success? Give this man the DMR.
Give the man the DMR, hop in, crouch walk through the building, and finds a pick. Seems to be the formula to get into Direwolves' faces here. Now down 2 on the man count for the Direwolves. They will have to find a way back into this round. But only a minute and a half left for Elevate. They've got control completely off this top floor. Actually, I think that's someone in long bar trying to contest them. Elevate, they're really spread thin here on this attack.
But Direwolves are spread even thinner on their man count. However, the DMR Master gets a taste of his own medicine. Harambe turning it up, but traded back by yet another DMR. Welcome to APAC South, guys. Jackie Wu in a 1 versus 3 clutch scenario to go up 5-1 in the half. And oh my God, DCH not watching the right way, but a quick 180 and a couple of tip-tap tips of the 417 does the job. Elevate can round out the half almost even.
Oh wow, that was such a APAC South round. What can I say? The opening pick came out 20 seconds into the round. I think it was on some rappel coming into dining, and then every other Elevate player was getting control of his own room, just trying to win their ones, just trying to enter into the building all on their lonesome, but eventually works out for them anyway. Direwolves caught off guard and spread far too thin to play any trades, and yeah, it all just fell apart for them once that execute came through. So Direwolves, I think they need to tidy things up. Whenever they play on these bomb sites where they're playing with each other, playing more grouped up, and playing these crossfires, like this top floor bomb site, for example, they seem to have much more success. But yeah, unfortunately now that half is over for them and they have to go onto the attacking half. So we'll have to see some of that cohesion of that defense come back here for the Direwolves if they want to bring it back.
Now, I'm really not sure how to feel going into the second half, Manny, because in map 1, obviously, we had Gladiators 5-1 up over the Chiefs. With the asterisks, the Gladiators were on their defense on Theme Park, and you know, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I don't know whether to feel the same way now. Like, 4-2 is pretty much par for the course on KAFE, right? So I want to be like, hey, this is a reset, even. Direwolves aren't quite as favored as they seem. But that was how I felt on map 1, and I was proven wrong.
Well, the thing is, the reason why I say I think Direwolves need to bring back some of that cohesion that they used to have on the earlier defense halves is because with these current operator bans, attacking is quite difficult. A lot of those power positions with Flores gone and with a set of nades and a Gon 6 gone, that is difficult. That is very hard to clear. And Elevate, something that we saw in their attacking half was whenever they were spread out thin, they weren't able to clear those power positions. They just had to rely on someone walking in the building and trying to get a frag or something like that, right? So the Direwolves, although they are up 4 rounds, I would say that this kind of is reset back, even though it's not quite the same as that Gladiators game that we just watched. I think this attack is really quite difficult with these bans.
I totally think you're right. I mean, you look, there's only 6 explosives on the Direwolves side. You got 2 shields. You got 3 bulletproof cameras, not to mention the castle barricades. Oh, DCH, very cheeky there. Doesn't find a kill. However, his teammate does fall as Jackie Wu finds the lead-off kill.
And there we go. Elevate now down for the count. 1 player down, and that is your castle, so it's not too much utility gone. But Direwolves, can they convert this opening pick into any control? I think we've just seen a player drop the red hatch, so there we go. They're thinking about, okay, now we have more room to play around Cigar. There is also a castle barricade up as well, so that's one angle they don't have to worry about if they want to get their way into Cigar. They don't immediately have to fight Bathroom, but there we go. A teammate opening the line of sight for Jackie Wu, now inside of the building, trying to fight these long lines of sight with the 1.5x and find a second kill for the Direwolves.
And that's why these aim duels are so important here. If Elevate lose another player, it opens up the round for Direwolves. We're in a bit of a deadlock at the moment. Elevate have so many angles that it's tough for Direwolves to push on through. But if Direwolves can just land a headshot, can just take down one more of these defenders and really exacerbate that man advantage, the round is well and truly on their side.
It's absolutely right. It's about creating breathing room because currently the attack is so claustrophobic inside of Cigar. And unless you clear backstore and unless you clear Bathroom, it's going to continue to be claustrophobic. And if Onigiri is fighting you inside of Cigar, well, that's all of your presence gone from the attacking half. And now they're down for the man count. 35 seconds left to go. This is looking terrible for Direwolves.
This top floor of KAFE is starting to look like Fort Knox. Elevate, locking it down. As the double kill from Onigiri may have just opened up this round, but he's feeling a whole lot of pressure, and he does go down. I believe the player on Cocktail was traded, and Mark has found one as well. Souffle goes down, and Elevate, after a bit of a shaky start, get back on that horse, and are almost even on the round count.
Well, I think that what we said has actually really come into fruition here. We said clearing power positions is going to be very difficult. Not having nades, not having Flores means that holding Bathroom, holding Backstraw, that's much easier for the defense half. And in both of the defenses from Elevate and Direwolves of that top floor, we saw them making use of those Backstraw angles and of those Bathroom angles to the full extent. Onigiri even managed to push up and start fighting the players in Cigar because he knew that they would be stuck there. They couldn't move out into Piano because those angles were being held, right? So Onigiri, making use of the space that he could, is really able to bring back that man deficit that Elevate were originally in and eventually win the round. So 3-4 scoreline here. It is definitely possible for Elevate to come back on this defense half.
I'm really loving that we're seeing a bit more echo here. I feel like KAFE is one of those few maps where we start to see the echo. We've also seen the Maestro. Now, these days, people don't tend to favor those more anchor-centric heavy utility ops.
Oh, I love this. This is my favorite Yoko drone. Yay.
It's. I mean, how do you see? How do you find that
You're
if
not
you
going
if you
to
don't
find
know
it.
it's there? If you don't know it's there, you just don't find that.
Tucked away into the shelf with the rest of the utensils and plates is the Yokai drone as Elevate, like you said, looking for a more anchor-centric hold. These days, Echo, he's not a very important operator ban anymore. There are so many other operators that bring so much more value to the defense or just simply more frustrating to deal with that those have to go out. And in this case, it was the form of the Wamai, especially after those 2 attacker bans came out. If Wamai was in, that would have been an even bigger world of pain. Meanwhile, though, Harambe finds a kill on the cutoff, and that's Onigiri going down once again for opening death.
So that was a wall bang, right? Just through the red hallway. No info.
I don't think so. I think the window's cracked open. Onigiri was trying to take the fight there.
Bit too ambitious there for Onigiri, and he pays the price. Harambe, credit to him. That would have been hard breach. Down for the count had he lost that. But Pika is really slowing down. Souffle finds a double kill from this pillar's window and swings straight on in. Elevate just have 2 players left, one of whom is Sapper, the 1-speed operator with that anchor utility. Direwolves, they just have to play slow and steady, play their cards right, and this round should be cut and dried. Theirs for the taking.
Well, slow and steady is what you say, but remember, there is still the Yokais on the board. So slow, but not too slow. Because if you only have 15 seconds left of the round and you're trying to shoot cameras, then it kind of falls apart from there. But Souffle, what an interesting entry point. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that through the double window to find 2 kills. And he just strings straight in, assuming, okay, we've cleared the roam, let's go for it. Vertical presence now for the Direwolves. So like you said, they're making very strong round progress. They just need to take their time, plan their execute, look for those Yokai drones, and go for it.
And now the vertical game has been set, the sledge getting to work. The fact that the sledge and the Hibana survived the roam clear is so paramount for Direwolves, and they're really reaping the rewards of that now. Sapper, of course, going to try and make this a game for time, but maybe on Mr. Punch to make a play in the late round. Elevate can't just rely on time ticking down. Direwolves won't let it get that close.
Well, the thing is, Sapper's realized, okay, this is a freezer push, so I'm going to go retake control of Bakery. There's not going to be any attackers coming in here because they're simply just, they don't have enough numbers. They need to start flooding into Coffee if they want to go for the execute that I think that they're going to go for. Only 29 seconds left of the rounds, and they're only just starting to get into the bomb site.
Oh, Mr. Punch does not have the gun for this fight, but he might have the right gun to take the fight with ED. If ED can get the better of him, it would be huge, and he does. Now it's all Sapper. In the 1-on-3, 1-on-2, Yokais nowhere to be seen. And the vertical game now retaken for Direwolves. A flashbang and a second and a third leaves Sapper with far too much to do. And his sister operator will get the better of him. A strong attack round from Direwolves.
I'm really impressed by the way that Direwolves just capitalized on that mid-round so quickly. At one point, we were worried for them. Were they going to be able to convert that into a round win? Were they going to be able to find those Yokai drones, distract Sapper enough so they could get the bomb down and convert the rounds and eventually win it out? Direwolves, though, finding an attack here is very crucial in this particular series. And so, like, absolutely props to them, making full use of Souffle, finding those early picks, going in straight into that middle floor and working the vertical straight away. No hesitation whatsoever, being relentless on that push has really won them that round there.
Pressure is really on now for Elevate. And we're starting to perhaps be disproven on our theory that Elevate didn't have too much to worry about by going down 2-4 on their attacking side. Because they did win that first defense, but they couldn't lock in their second. Like you said, it was dominant. It was won essentially in the roam clear by Direwolves. It's astounding to see how much Direwolves has matured as a team within APAC South from 2021 to 2022. It looked like a completely different roster. They still have that aggression and that confidence that they've always been known for, and that chemistry that really takes them to the next level. But now they have restraint. They have the maturity as a roster to always be making that right decision, to keep cool and calm under pressure. And now they've made their first major appearance, a disappointing one. They can take that experience back to APAC South.
And I think what you said about making the right decisions, playing the game smart, is a big difference here between Direwolves and to Elevate. Here, because of these bans and because of the way that the defense plays out, it is strong to play power positions. It is strong to go for a more anchor-centric hold. But Elevate losing 3 picks on the roam straight away, not falling off in time, not falling back to play those stronger positions, to play with your utility, just to play with your gun up. That is not how you're meant to play this ban, Vito. And here we go. Direwolves trying something different. ED with the sledge shotgun making his way up wide.
Oh my god! You said it, and he actioned it. The sledge shotgun for ED has just found 2 kills. Now Direwolves a man disadvantage, a significant man disadvantage. But it may well be enough. No SMG-11 for ED to fall back on now as he tries to nade off this evil eye staring him down. He'll have to rely on the shotgun and his teammate Souffle to win out the round. He may have control of the bomb site, but can he plant the diffuser?
Ooh, I think the vertical has just missed the angle onto him as well. DCH, he is good for his first one, though. Just 1 versus 3 with the sledge shotgun will not work out for ED. DCH clawing his way back into the site, able to find both picks, will run out the rounds for Elevate.
Well, that was quite something. We really are treated here, Mandy,
Absolutely.
in APAC South to the most peculiar brand of Siege you ever get to see. What a play from ED. Double kill on the sledge shotty. Back in the day when you had SMG-11, I wouldn't call you crazy, but certainly bit ED in the back, not having a rifle there. And now Elevate have been given a look in, just trailing 1 round behind, and they can go back to Bar Cocktail, which they won fairly convincingly prior.
You know, Dev, I didn't mind that from Direwolves. Look, you're up 2 rounds. You just want to get points on the board, on the standings. Why not go for something a little bit special, right? Unfortunately, not quite working out in their favor. Elevate, they are able to make that finally a defense work out for them, and now they will return back to this top floor bomb site, which we have seen was just so difficult for Direwolves to make their way in. They were stuck in Cigar for the entire round, even slaughtered in Cigar, some would say, in that last round. So Direwolves, they're going to have to start being a bit careful here, otherwise the rounds could even up here for Elevate.
You can't get too complacent. You can't. I mean, look, I'm not going to rag on the sledge shotty. I actually love it. And it got him 2 kills, right?
Love
like,
it.
if he had a rifle, he probably wouldn't have necessarily won those gunfights. So I'm not going to rag on him. But Direwolves need to make sure that they don't let any rounds slip, right? Because, like you're saying, it doesn't take long for Elevate to get back that advantage, and they are on the favored side in the defense right now.
Slow start again here for Direwolves, dialing it back just a smidge from that last round, and now starting a very standard top floor clear, hopping onto the roof, getting open some of those hatches, but their first point of contention will be DCH here in Cigar, trying to hold on to this mini-bar power position for as long as he possibly can.
Very tough to kill a player playing hard in piano like DCH is here. Takes a lot of nades, and guess what? Elevate banned out the Thinker. That's 1 less set of nades available. Souffle has been tearing through this game. 2.0 KD right now, 12. Far and away the best player in the server. He will be leaned upon here to flush out this position.
Jackie Wu now getting himself into the building as well, but a very tricky mute jammer set up to clear in Cigar does mean that droning out this side of the map will be tough, and so Jackie Wu playing it slow, playing it careful, put your gun up, make sure that no one is still playing inside that mini-bar position. With that hole open now that the Hebanas have made as well, that does give a second entry point in, getting ready to clear out some utilities. So far Direwolves making good progress, taking their time, but not taking it too slow.
Elevate can essentially sit back and wait, the exception being Onigiri, who might tease out a flank. Even just shooting down flank drones would help out Elevate here by distracting Direwolves, even if he doesn't push on it. Can't see many flank drones, to be honest. He might have just shot one. I think there was one inside the wheel. We heard him just shoot and then ran back, so you've got to assume that's what it was. Direwolves, though, in a decent position right now. Just struggling to push on forward. Now the Surya Gate from Maruni once again activated. A Gemini to clear one, but not the other.
Well, Direwolves, they've done step one, and that is get into the building.
Okay.
And now it's time for phase two. Let's get control of the power positions. Let's get control of backstore and of bathroom. And that's done very successfully with the aid of Harambe on the Hibana, opening up the line of sight, contesting that line of sight with that ACOG, which is something the defenders don't have, right? Using the long lines of sight to his best advantage to eventually find that kill. And there we go. That's bathroom clear. That's backstore clear. And you're just left with the one player in freezer and the rest of them stuck in cocktail.
A 2-for-1 trade for Direwolves and Elevate. They have to hold on. Onigiri finds one, but he is just pushed upon. DCH now in a 1v3. Direwolves to get their 6th round and guarantee overtime. It would be huge, and there it is. ED to lock in the final kill, and Direwolves have themselves a match point.
And Direwolves now the second team to get points on the board here in this APAC South Stage 2. 6 points up gives them a point here in OT, absolutely guaranteed. And like we said on the desk, every single point matters here in this group stage. So Direwolves, they're going to be happy with that. Absolutely thrilled with that, for sure. And they played that so well as well, pushing into the bomb site, realizing, okay, we've just dropped the kit on the ground. That one's in another continent. We need to flood. We need players in to make sure that that kit doesn't remain cold on the ground and the anchors can just sit there for free, right? So all of the Elevate players, all the Direwolves players immediately switch on at the same time. Going in for that push eventually wins them out the rounds. And yeah, I just think ED crouch walking his way through the long bar, through the rotating to find the kill at the end of white. He's just absolutely everywhere.
Did he just crouch all the way from Cigar, or did he drop Skylight? Oh my god.
I mean, I assumed he must have dropped the Scarlet because we saw him take the fight with Onigiri in C1, right?
Yeah.
So he must have jumped through, taken crouched, walked all the way in, and he still finds the ending as well. That is just the nature of the Direwolves players, right? These executes that APAC South is just... that we see it so often. We see those flood executes come out. This is not a slow region when it comes to late game, right? They will absolutely go for it. They won't try the silly, oh, cover my plant business. They're just going for it. That is the APAC South teams that we know.
Yeah, but it's leverage because they're just such good teammates. They're always, it's a click of the fingers and then they just go. Like, you've got... Direwolves know the most important player on that defense is Onigiri in Cocktail. How do you kill him? Well, you have someone rappel into his window at the same time as someone sneaks up his bar. Can't fight two of you at once, can he? And that is the secret to Direwolves. Let's see if they can do it again here.
I was going to say, I just think that it's really what sets apart Direwolves from almost the rest of APAC South, in my opinion. Direwolves, this roster, they've been together since the beginning of the year. Every single other team has had roster changes in stage 1, right? Aside from the Direwolves. They've been cohesive, they've been learning the same 5 players, they know their personalities, everything about each other, right? How their play styles and whatever it might be that helps this teamwork. And that's what makes them such a strong team. And there we go, Souffle finding a kill on the rappel, whilst the rest of his teammates try and work their way into Cigar. They put pressure through the little slit of that soft wall in the top of that, in top of that red breach as well. All the pressure was coming in on DCH and Souffle. Wow, he's just having an absolute ripper of a game. 14 kills.
Don't know what they've been feeding Souffle, but I hazard a guess perhaps some Souffle. Yeah. There you go. It's a pretty good ad for going for a nice fluffy Souffle before your rank games. Jackie Wu on for this long angle, threading that needle. Elevate really under the pump now. Direwolves for everything set before them. Man advantage to boot. Information in abundance, and now another pick as Mark egregiously pushes forward. Jackie Wu will punish.
And once again, Elevate with ants in their pants, trying to take every peek in every fight. That is the Elevate that we know, but not in this particular matchup is it going to work. In this matchup, what it takes is that, well, this is a very claustrophobic attack. Make that work for you like you did in the last round. Make sure that they can't make their way out of Cigar, and that you're playing these lines of sight, fighting the door, fighting heaven, that type of thing, right? So now Direwolves, they are stuck in Cigar, but they have 2-man count up, and that's going to make the flood for them in the late game much, much easier.
And this is a patient team if I have ever seen one. That is Direwolves for you. They've had man advantage for quite some time now. 2-man advantage, but they don't immediately push in. They bide their time and whittle away at Elevate. They found another pick and they're about to find the game unless Sapper and Mr. Punch can step up something massive. And they do.
A 2 versus 2 now, down from a 2 versus 5. Pika under pressure, he goes down. Is this the 2v5 dream from Elevate to keep the dream of overtime alive? There they are, the team that you know and love, stepping up when they are called upon.
I cannot believe that Elevate managed to claw back that round. Sapper, he just found the perfect timing on each player. He just found the pick onto the player in Cigar. He swung their angles going into Piano because he knew one player would be trying to pinch him from that white hallway, right? He finds a second pick. And on top of that, I think it was it Mr. Punch in the back there trying to take the fights onto Cocktail? Elevate, they just spring straight into action. They take those fights. They don't let Direwolves walk all over the top of them. And that is the Elevate that we know and love. Bringing it back up another round and another attempt for them to bring it into OT.
Oh, and you've really sent a message to Direwolves with that one. DW take their tactical timeout on the back of losing that 5v2. And we were saying, look, Direwolves, they have good patience, you know, they don't get too ahead of themselves. I take it all back, Mandy. Don't be patient, just go for it. If you really want something, I'm telling you, if there's something you really want, be Elevate, just take it. Just right now, get up, whatever you're doing, just take it. That is the Elevate mentality, and that is how they win these unwinnable situations.
The thing about the Elevate roster is that they're all such capable players, right? When you're down the man count, these are the kinds of people that you expect to make your hero plays, that you expect to start swinging all your angles and any cutoff that you might have on the rappel, through the hallways, wherever it might be. Elevate are the type of people that will do it for sure. And Direwolves, they just weren't ready for it. Maybe the comms were cluttered. Maybe they were going, okay guys, we're up a few, let's not give away picks, just chill. And then I go, oh no, I've died, oh no, I've died. And suddenly it's all falling apart for the Direwolves, being a little bit indecisive, being a little stagnant, and not taking that invitation with the man count up to just flood the site, right? So Elevate, this is where they thrive. They kind of thrive in the chaos of the comms, right? When the other team is panicking, freaking out, trying to make the decisions, Elevate are like, okay, go now, go now, go now. And they absolutely go for it. And they win out rounds like that for sure. Now Elevate, they will return down to Reading Room. And this is where we saw the Direwolves attack through the white stairs with the sledge shotgun. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that ever again from this team. They want to play it slow and steady. They are 1 point away from winning this series. They do not want to give it up here.
Credit to Elevate. You know, when they did go kitchen cooking, it was the worst round by far on their defensive side. Direwolves had an incredibly convincing roam clear. Found 3 early picks. Elevate don't want to go back to kitchen. They go back to reading, which, like you said, was pretty disastrous for Direwolves the last time they did it. That was largely due to something within Direwolves' control, which was, of course, the nature of their rush push. And this time, they will not be quite as ambitious. They will do a much more typical push, slowly peeling away the layers of KAFE here as Elevate have some presence and start to shoot these drones and Yana clones.
That being said, that Iana clone did expedite this entry process quite a lot for ED. Already into the building, not too much time wasted here for Direwolves. They know they have a lot of work to do if they want to get into that second floor. First, they have to clear the top floor. That's step 1. And even when they've done that, they still need to get into the floor below and into the bomb site. So they don't want to be taking their time here. And that was the assistance of the Gemini clone there from Jackie Wu, and ED now straight into the building.
It's going to take a long time to clear all the way up to that bomb site and start getting vert. Still, Elevate have 2 defenders roaming on Cocktail, and there's DCH with a big C4. And any vertical game that ED wanted to do, his teammates will now have to fill. Pressure is on for Direwolves as Elevate start to build this momentum towards overtime.
Oh no, and that's just 20 seconds of time locked out through pushing Whitehall as well. That Goyo canister that has just gone off, that locks out that entry completely. Although there have been some rotation holes made in bathrooms, so Mark, he could get jumped on by Souffle if he isn't too careful.
The fire from the Vulcan canister will keep the attackers at bay for some time. Mark viciously looking for these players, but Souffle once again steps up. A C4 over the top by Mr. Punch doesn't find a thing. And Sapper now needs to find the pick, gets the first one. Can he finish it off? He does. Souffle has been a menace and now he is done. Sapper, the next top fragger in the server, dispatched with. the trade from Jackie Wu, but there's only 20 seconds. And the Vulcan canisters burn. The fire is relentless, and Onigiri has a fire burning inside him as he finds 2 picks in pillars. It's all on Jackie Wu. He might get a consolation prize, but it is not enough to stop Elevate from reaching overtime.
And we are all tied up here in the scoreline 6-6 between these two teams. I feel like this is what we expected, Dev. I mean, it's Elevate and Direwolves. It's 1 and 2. Respectively. This is the kind of game that we expected for them, and it is really starting to get exciting now. All these strategies, all this cohesion is now amounting up to this. The trades we saw back and forth on that top floor, both teams playing it out so well, but in the end, time comes to bite Direwolves, and now they start on their defense half here in overtime. Will that give them an advantage?
I mean, they've got the momentum on their side, that's for sure. And they also have quite a bit of information that they gleaned from that half. Elevate now know that Direwolves have been a bit rattled. Direwolves have been playing fairly slowly, and yeah, Direwolves now have their own defensive side, but Elevate attacked this bomb site twice, and the second time they won it. They can take the learnings there. If anything, I'm a little bit surprised that Direwolves are going for Bar Cocktail instead of, say, Kitchen Cooking, where they won the only time they played it. Reading Fireplace, Direwolves played it 3 times, won it 2 out of 3. So if anything, Direwolves taking a big gamble here. They're playing their lowest win rate bomb site from this game so far.
Interesting. Direwolves. I wonder what's going on in the comms right now for them. I mean, this has been a very intense game. They could have won it even by now. And like you said, they must be rattled. They must be feeling quite nervous going into this particular bomb site. Like you said, they haven't won. Elevate, though, they do struggle with utility, I must say, in comparison to Direwolves. I feel that so far this utility battle and the strategy even with the utility, I feel that Direwolves have come on top of this. They're definitely playing this veto and this combination of operators a little better than Elevate have been playing it. But Elevate, they do things that are unexpected. They do things that are a bit rash that seem to be catching Direwolves off guard. So it's on the onus of them to fall back when they need to, play carefully, and let Elevate come to you and try and do whatever kind of shenanigans they're going to do. Seppa, though, he's having an absolute ripper of a game, and putting him on the entry of Zofia is exactly what I'd be doing if I was Elevate.
There is a lot of ground to cover, though, for Elevate. Attacking this top floor. Direwolves have so many angles that they are watching. They also have so much utility to chew through for Elevate. You've got 2 deployable shields, 2 Evil Eyes, 3 Banshees from Malusi, and Pika is all the way downstairs. Exactly the kind of player that would run out the bakery door onto these players, such as Onigiri, but will Elevate be watching it? Pika had a...
I think there is a Claymore there as well.
Yeah, but I mean, he could just shoot that, could he not?
That's true.
And this could be big, but will Pika have the guts to go for it?
Well, I think like we prefaced, Elevate, they're being slow here with this utility clear. There is still a shield standing inside of Pixel, if I'm aware. They've only just gone open this red hatch and the red wall as well. And here we go. Maybe it's now time for Pican to shine. Try and get this run out where they're trying to get the clear and the jump onto the anchors. Here he goes.
No,
He's thinking about it. He goes for it.
Oh,
and there we go. Oh, no!
He doesn't manage to land enough shots before Elevate. Zipline down the wall. Now Sapper is going to try and cut off Pika. He abandons that notion, or does he? Will Pika be able to get back to site? Will Elevate try and take advantage of the lack of manpower on this bomb site? Time is ticking away. Elevate have to go big, but Direwolves are the ones to step up, and it is massive. The kill feed reigns orange. There's Mr. Punch left on his lonesome in a 1 versus 3. Pika gets the better of him, and Direwolves once again have match points.
I feel like Pecan was just such a crucial part of that round win for them. Even though he didn't get value out of that run out, he didn't manage to kill Onigiri. That took away the attention of Sapper. Sapper's your entry player. He's the one that's going to make space for you when you're running out of time. You need to get in the bomb site. But because he's loitering his way down the red stairs, trying to catch off Pecan down in the basement, there's not enough time for him to rotate back up, try and make that space, and then play the refrags onto Direwolves. And like we said, Elevate, they're really struggling with these power positions, and Direwolves have the patience that Elevate don't have. And so they sit there, they wait for Elevate to make that push, they wait for Pecan to waste all of their time, draw their attention in half, and eventually they capitulate, trying to push into that choke point. So Direwolves, I think they, even though you think that they went for a gamble for that top floor side, I actually think it worked out really well for them in their favor. They played it perfectly.
And now they've got the match point back on their side. They're going to have to attack again, though. And while they did win one attack on the Bar Cocktail, they struggled 2 other times, particularly that final round where Elevate won the 2 versus 5. If Direwolves played just like they did that round, but tighten up the late round once they have the advantage, then you could very easily see Direwolves lock in the win here. But Onigiri has switched on to the Valkyrie. Elevate are changing their strategies. They're ready for yet another grueling test that Direwolves will set before them.
Well, I think this is quite a tough bomb site even for Elevate and their playstyle to be playing at the moment. Like you said, Onigiri is playing the Valkyrie, so he's probably going to look for a roam, look for C4s, kind of like what he did in the last round. But Direwolves, although they gave up the last round to a clutch, they have been quite consistent so far on this bomb site. Unlike Elevate, they have been able to get control of Piano, for example. They have been able to get control into Cigar and try and make their way for an execute. A lot of the time, we do see the bomb make its way into the trash or the default plant, right? And so Direwolves, I do back them in for the early rounds here. I do back them in to try and make their way in quite successfully. But by the time it hits that mid-rounds, and by the time you have to start facing Onigiri C4s, and who on earth is this? Mark playing inside of Cigar, trying to take those gunfights early, that's where it gets kind of dicey for Direwolves.
Dicey for both teams, I'd say. I'm a bit scared for Elevate seeing Mark play so aggressively. He's been droned out as well. Does form an escape route out down the hatch. But the Twitch drone starts to march forward. It spotted him out. Now it's looking for utility. Doesn't want to overextend though. Of course, ED knows the value of those Twitch drones. He's managed to get all the way into Bar. Getting all kinds of information, picking apart the defensive utility. Throws out a second one now as well as Jackie Wu starts to push in, burn the gate with the Gemini, no doubt. As he does so, looks like Direwolves are even aware of these Valkyrie cameras, almost a pick. Elevate have to be careful.
Jackie Wu, now the first contact into the building. He has his nades, he's got the Gone 6, so any utility that would have been in his way, that's Jackie Wu's job here in this early rounds. But meanwhile, he is being contested by Mark, and oh gosh, that is not a duel that I would want to be taking if I was Jackie Wu. That is terrifying.
Little QE here, little QE there. Jackie Wu could very easily meet his maker. Direwolves match point before them, but only 50 seconds. Still a 5 versus 5. Elevate have the advantage, but it may be determined by this engagement. Mark gets away, but Jackie Wu goes down to Sapper. The Direwolves have a response.
No one seems to be backing up Jackie Wu there.
Sapper.
Another goes down. 2-on-4 now left. 3-on-2 now left as Edie actually manages to claw one back. So Direwolves, they have 30 seconds left to play with. The kit is in the site. They have an opportunity to win here.
Onigiri's on for the flank. It would be big. Harambe and ED to clutch up. DCH alone on the site. Now alone to fend off these 2 attackers to clutch the game. And to push to yet another round. He will have to spray them both down. DCH, hold on to your horses. But it's not happening. Harambe crushes his dreams. Souffle calls the GG. And Direwolves push through and get the 2 points.
And there we have it, the first Harambe dance of the season. And even the handshake to go with it. He's living in it. He's absolutely living in this moment here. 2 points on the board for the Direwolves. They will be absolutely thrilled with that. And ED, he just can't believe himself. Did you see that? Oh my gosh, I'm in absolute disbelief. Kind of the head, the face palm, just clawing that round back for the Direwolves, finding 3 kills, and Harambe to close that out with the Bearing 9. What a tense final round for them to eventually win out the series.